Death, taxes, and the Steelers beating the Clowns in Pittsburgh. Those are your three guarantees in life right there, especially when we officially do like a mercy killing and eliminate the Browns from playoff contention. But hey, we knew they weren't making the playoffs anyway. But anyway, let's get on to this recap. Good Sunday evening, everybody. I am Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. 27-14, the Steelers win against the Browns in Pittsburgh. Once again, we are now 21-1 against the Browns in Pittsburgh since Heinz Field opened up. 21-1 against the Browns. Actually, 21-1 against the Browns in Pittsburgh since 2003. 23-1 since Heinz Field opened up. They just simply can't beat us here, man. They just simply can't beat us here. No matter how down in the dumps we are, no matter what kind of momentum they have going into the game against us, it doesn't matter. They may have our number in Cleveland. Yes, I am not denying that. But there is absolutely no contest, no argument whatsoever when who has the upper hand when it comes to them coming to Pittsburgh. That's all there is to it. Anyway, getting on to this recap. So, as good of a win as it was today against the Browns, I am also not going to sit down here and act like it was a perfect win, because it wasn't a perfect win. It was a very good win by us. You know, I'm not taking anything away from it. It was a very good win by the Steelers today. It just wasn't perfect, especially with how the game started. Settled for a field goal early on to make it 3-0, and then the Browns had what ended up being their only good play of the game, in my opinion, which was when Jameis Winston, he found Jerry Jeudy for a 35-yard touchdown, in the first quarter to give Cleveland their first and only lead of the game at 7-3. And that right there was like, here we go again. Here goes the Steelers playing down to competition once again. And quite frankly, here we go with the pass defense again, because, I can sit down here and scream to the high heavens all I want about the pass defense. It's been a recurring theme for us for like 2 months now. And with the way that pass defense just got carved up by Jerry Jeudy on the game, especially when Minkah Fitzpatrick was in coverage right there, and Minkah's just had a very pedestrian year altogether, and especially with the way that this defense still struggles with the scramble options that the Browns put out there, you got a mindset of, well, it's going to be another long day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was the score after the first quarter. But ever since the second quarter, and more specifically, when Jameis Winston threw an interception to Keanu Benton, brilliant play. Jameis Winston on a blind read tries a screen pass. Keanu Benton leaps up in the air, grabs it out of midair for an interception. You don't see that from a nose tackle very often, man. What a play by Keanu Benton. From that moment on, the Steelers were in complete control of this game. And they never let their foot off the gas pedal after that play, because that led to Najee Harris scoring a touchdown to make it 10-7, and then follow that up with another field goal, 13-7 Steelers at halftime. And then the second half, complete domination by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, that's why I sit down here and I'm like, well, this is not a perfect win. It's just a very good win. But, you take it. You're a Steeler fan. You sit down here, you take it. We're 10-3 on the season now. One step closer to clinching the division, especially with Baltimore having their bye week this week, but let's sit down here and be honest at the same time, guys. The Browns never win in Pittsburgh the same way that we never win in Philly. And that's our next opponent next week. As next Sunday around this time, we're going to be playing the Eagles in Philly. So we got to keep our focus on that right now. And I've sat down here for weeks now and said that's the toughest game on the schedule. And I maintain that. But still, like later on in this game, third quarter comes along. We stop the Browns again. And how about Russell Wilson on a designed RPO finds Van Jefferson? Just a brilliant setup right there, a brilliant design right there. Finding Van Jefferson for a touchdown to make it 20-7. And that was a drive where the Steelers burned 4 minutes off the clock. And then later in the quarter, he found Muth attacking across the middle right there. That is how you use Pat Freiermuth, man. Use Muth across the middle of the field more, because that dude just absolutely strives whenever he's crossed the field. And when Russ is able to find him there, Arthur Smith needs to do whatever he can to keep Pat Freiermuth across the middle of the field. There's no stopping him there. That's his hot spot, and that's what Russ needs to do more when he's having a good passing game. Attack the middle of the field there more. And it was 27-7. At that point, the game was just over. Everything else was pretty much garbage time. Fourth quarter comes, and the Browns are trying to make it a little bit closer. They got another touchdown, which is why the score is a little misleading. It was 27-14, but really the Steelers were in complete control of this game. The other touchdown the Browns got was when this game was decided. It was a garbage time touchdown for all I care about. I mean, that's why I sit down here and a solid, I would say 9 times out of 10, scores do not tell the whole story. We won this game convincingly over the Browns, even though it was far from perfect. But just for like garbage time and just for fun for us, I guess, James Pierre picks off Jameis Winston. How about James Pierre picking off Jameis Winston right there? And that came after we had fumbled the ball away and gave it to the Browns. They gave it right back to us. That's just typical Jameis Winston for you. What I say? He's the equivalent of being a limousine driver with 12 points on your driver's license. That's what Jameis Winston is. And he throws a pick to James Pierre. And then you follow that up with Kadarius Toney, my favorite Cleveland Browns player ever. And I hope the Browns never get rid of this guy. Kadarius Toney muffs the punt. And that was the ball game right there. Steelers were able to run out the clock afterwards. It was towards 2-minute warning. And that's your ball game right there. 27-14. Just a good win. Individual performances in this game were pretty astounding as well, as, we saw it with Jaylen Warren getting some nice gains. Jaylen Warren, getting some nice runs. Some great burst ability from Najee Harris in this game, as I mentioned, as he had a touchdown as well. You saw it with Scotty Miller coming up with a big catch in the fourth quarter where he where he was able to keep both feet down on the sidelines and he made a great catch. Mike Williams was targeted in this game. Why him? Because George Pickens was out for this game with a hamstring problem. A lot of people are speculating that he got benched for this game because of disciplinary problems that he had in the last game that we had against Cleveland. I'm kind of 50-50 on it because Pickens is just very immature. I don't need to sit down here and toot that horn again. And for as much as I want to believe that it's a hamstring problem, well, take a look at the whole Antonio Brown thing back in 2018. So that's why I'm on the fence about it. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me that Pickens got hurt, seeing that, it really wasn't a huge issue going forward. But if it was Tomlin's decision to not take the risk on the hamstring, then I can understand it if he really did have the hamstring problem, which is what I'm trying to say. So I do question it a little bit. But regardless, Mike Williams being targeted in this game, and that leads me to Russ. Now, like I said, am I going to sit down here and say that Russell Wilson was amazing in this game? No, I won't, because really he wasn't. But I think at the end of the day, he did more than enough to win this game for us, and he definitely played well enough for us to win. You take a look at the stat sheet, and I know it's not eye-popping and the stats aren't sexy or anything, but at the end of the day, you can't hate on 2 touchdown passes from Russ and a 101.1 QB rating. Can't hate on that at all. So, yeah, I will applaud Russell Wilson. I think he played a good game. He really got off to a shaky start, and I think that's what kind of set the tone with the offense a little bit right there, because they were missing George Pickens a lot through the first few phases of this game. And, like I said, we can sit down here and question the guy that Pickens is off the field, and we can question his maturity. Fact of the matter is, when Pickens is on the field for us, there is a spark and there is a type of killer mentality and a type of just bulldog within this offense that George Pickens provides. He's kind of like he is the motor and he is the engine of this offense. No matter how much I may not like him personally, and no matter how immature I think he is, you cannot deny the type of contribution that he brings with this offense. And you saw that the offense was struggling early on when he wasn't, because he had to miss the game on short notice, basically. But eventually the Steelers settled in, got drives going, found rhythm. And something that I really like about this team, other than the fact that the defense does come up with very timely turnovers, because to me, that's a byproduct of what I'm about to say right now. Aside from that, when the Steelers are trailing and they allow a big play, whatever it is, like today, for example, the touchdown that they allowed in the first quarter to Jerry Jeudy. The thing that I like the most about this team is that, unlike previous years, they recognize when something bad happens to them, and when they make a dumb mistake, and when they be uncharacteristically lazy and careless, they learn from it, they adjust, and they don't let it happen to them again. More often than not, they don't. Yes, they've had hiccups along the way this season. Yes, it hasn't always been the case this year. I mean, unless you're the 72 Dolphins, no team is perfect, okay? But this team, like I've sat down here and I've said it for weeks now, for the past couple of weeks. If last year's team allowed a touchdown like that against the Browns than they did today, or if 2022's team did that, or even to an extent 2021's or 2020's team, they would have kept allowing a lot of big plays. And that's why I say this team is different. Because the defense is established. The defense has an identity. Now we have a legitimate and competent offense, and we have an experienced quarterback who is a proven winner. And it keeps us in the game. And they're able to be resilient because of that. So that touchdown, for as bad as it was like, okay, well, that happened right there. But we're going to do this now. And we're going to respond to you in this way now. And you saw it when the Steelers didn't allow a single touchdown for the Browns until the fourth quarter, like I said, when the game was decided. That's what I like the most about this team. They don't quit. Last year's team, they quit. 2022, they quit. 2021, they quit. Down the final phases of 2020, they quit. This team don't quit. They fight for 4 quarters, and they're so resilient to watch, man. And that's all you can ask for as a fan. Effort, resilience, pride, and determination. Did you honestly think that this Steeler team was going to let the Cleveland Browns come into our stadium and beat us and sweep us for the first time since 1988? Do you really think they were going to let that happen to them? No. You know, once again, big shout out to the O-line, second week in a row. Miles who? Myles Garrett? Who the hell is that? He was pretty quiet today. And this O-line did basically the exact same thing against Trey Hendrickson, who in my opinion is Defensive Player of the Year, last week. Kept Myles Garrett off the board for virtually the whole game. The only time Myles Garrett did anything in this game was, like I said, in the fourth quarter with the Browns down 20 points and the game was decided. That's the only time Myles Garrett did anything in this game. Great game all around by the offensive line. Mason McCormick, I think he's starting to mold well with this O-line. I would definitely make him an everyday starter. You know, I have a lot of confidence with Mason McCormick. That was a great draft pick by Omar Khan right there. And then how about the one guy on the O-line that I give so much flack to, and I think that a lot of other Steeler fans give flack to as well? How about that kid from Alabama, Broderick Jones? You know, I basically wrote him off about a few months ago. Well, how do you like 3 straight games without a penalty for Broderick Jones? How about him having a streak of not allowing a sack? And how about him just getting more physical, man? I think Broderick Jones is starting to turn things around. And, like I said, it's going to take a little bit more for me to get fully back on Broderick Jones, but it is redeemable. But I think Broderick Jones has really turned things around, and it's just so great to see, especially considering he was a first-round pick for us. So Broderick Jones, man, keep that up. I like to see it. I love seeing it, man. The defense, like I said, aside from that touchdown they gave up, I thought the defense played really well today. There was more pressure on Jameis Winston today. Alex Highsmith's presence was back on the field today, and it was felt as well. Deshaun Elliott all over the field today, just absolutely bullying the Browns into submission all day today. He made some really great plays. Just a great team win altogether, man. Just a really great team win altogether, and that's why we're 10-3 on the season. So, yeah, like I said, I definitely wouldn't call it perfect. I definitely wouldn't call it a dominant win, but it was a great win. It was a very good day for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we are 10-3. So, like I said, the Browns came to their house of horrors today, and now next Sunday, we got to go to our house of horrors. The last time the Steelers won in Philadelphia, you got to go back to when Lyndon Baines Johnson was being reinaugurated for his second presidential term. The Beatles were the #1 band in the world. Gas was probably under $1 a gallon. My parents were toddlers all the way back in 1965. Yeah, that's right. We have not won in Philly since the mid-60s. Every time we go to Philly, we just don't play well there. Even in 2008, when we won our most recent Super Bowl, we took a bad L to the Eagles in Philly, where Big Ben got sacked 9 times against the Eagles, and we only came away with 2 field goals. And then we got obliterated by them with rookie Carson Wentz, 34-3, one of the worst losses I've ever seen by the Steelers. And then, obviously, the last game wasn't much of a contest either. But, Philly did struggle with Carolina a bit today, and we're coming in with some momentum, especially after all the momentum we had after that Keanu Benton pick, which is what I thought the turning point of the game was. But, anything's possible. I'm not I I would say it's the least confident I feel about winning in Philly, but we got to go in there with a mindset of any given Sunday, everyone's counting us out, and no one expects us to do anything. Okay? Do I believe this team can win a playoff game, and I believe this team can go toe to toe with just about anybody in the league. And we got to show that to the Eagles next Sunday. That's the mindset that we have to have going into Sunday's game. So today was a nice win. Today was a solid dub. And let's carry that momentum to the other side of Pennsylvania next week. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below about this win over the Cleveland Clowns once again. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.